From the Alvin and Rosalie Sarachek studio, PBS Kansas presents Ageless Enthusiasm. Coming up on this episode of Ageless Enthusiasm, I speak with Diana Kokoska about her new book, Becoming More.
And I opened my book up and it said, John F. Kennedy's quote, "If not us, who? And if not now, when?"
When, right.
Well, Mindy, that was my cue.
Also, I speak with Dan Baird, Hand Pan Dan, on his melodious way to give back to our community.
So I play at the VA, I play in hospice there, and then I do play for cancer treatment.
All that and more coming up on this episode of Ageless Enthusiasm. Mindy East, and this is Ageless Enthusiasm. On this episode, I welcome guest Diana Kokoska, a former CEO, speaker, and author of Becoming More. And Diana is joining us from the Austin area. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you so much. It's such a great opportunity.
Oh, well, I love having you here. Thank you for coming up and making this happen for us. So you've written this wonderful book, Becoming More, and tell us about your inspiration behind this. What made you want to help other people?
Well, you know, I started out working at age 5, and it was over the magazine rack. My dad would say, if a guy comes in and he looks at a magazine and it has a car on it, you instantly grab all the magazines that have a car on them and say, if you like that one, you'll want to buy these too, right? That was adding value to people. He kept teaching us to add value. Well, as CEO, I wrote a program called Bold. People started writing saying, you've added so much value to my life. Thank you. Would you write a book? I said, no, I don't want to write a book, for heaven's sakes. And then I was down on the dock, we live on a lake, and I was reading a book. I got a text from a person thanking me for helping, they said, to change their life. They changed their own life. Yet, at the end, they said, please write a book. Well, I thanked them for their kind words, and I opened my book up, and it said, John F. Kennedy's quote, "If not us, who? And if not now, when?"
When, right.
Well, Mindy, that was my cue.
Your
so I
marching
started
orders.
writing the book, and that's how it all came about.
So Becoming More, it's just a really interesting opportunity for people to evaluate their lives and think about their emotions and their feelings and what am I capable of.
Yes.
So can you talk to us a little bit about what's the difference between our emotions and our feelings?
Yeah, a lot of people think they're the same, don't they? And we don't want to get the two confused because our emotions are literally caused not by the experiences that we have, they're the reactions to the stories we make up in our mind. And our feelings come from the emotions that we put a meaning to that emotion, which then gives us the feeling. Can't have a feeling without giving the emotion a meaning.
So we're in control of that.
Well, absolutely. Yet we blame other people, don't we? I mean, someone says, you made me feel angry. No, they can't make you feel anything at all. And so when we start talking to ourselves, instead of saying, you made me feel angry, to say, I feel angry. Better yet, to say, I choose to feel angry, then means that we actually have a choice to feel a different way.
I'm not sure if people would be willing to do that.
Most most people
easier to
don't want to
blame.
take it. Yeah.
Easier to blame others, pass the buck. Okay, are there 5 things that lead us into anger that you've identified in your book?
Well, the main thing that we do with anger, it's very interesting, is we literally go back to a memory that we had when something similar gave us that feeling of anger, and we attach it to that. And once we start feeling angry, we have to focus on what it is that made us angry, whether it was a person or just something that happened. The minute we forget about the person or forget about what happened, we can't feel anger anymore. We have to have it attaching to something.
Right. Wow. Well, the premise of this show is to redefine life, health, and happiness.
Yes.
So I know that you have gotten to be with some really important people in your lifetime. Oprah, John Maxwell, and tell us a little bit about your encounters with these big, powerful people.
Well, it's very interesting. See, when I read a book, I mean, such as my book, but I was reading the 21 Irrefutable Laws, right, of Leadership by John Maxwell. Well, when I read a book and I like it, man, I go after to meet the author to find out really more. I want to ask the questions that the book created in my own mind. And I heard he was speaking in Dallas, Texas. So off I went to Dallas to hear him. And John always says from stage, I'm John and I'm your friend, right? So he's signing books. And as he opens up the book to sign, and I put my hand over it, and I go, stop, look at me. You said, you're John, and you're my friend. I'm Diana, and I will become your friend. And we've been great friends, absolutely.
And he wrote the foreword in
He
your
did
book.
write the foreword to my book.
And then I remember seeing a photograph of you hugging Oprah. Tell me a little bit about that
Well,
encounter.
It was a great hug, it was. It actually happened. We were out on the lake, and I looked at my daughter-in-law, Rosie, and I said, so who would you like to meet? And she said, oh, I want to meet Oprah. I mean, it was that fast. I thought, oh my goodness, that's a tall order. Well, as they say, you were 5 to 6 degrees away from anything you want in life, right? Meeting the right person. So I started calling around, and I finally ended up with a gentleman in Canada that said, yeah, Oprah's going to be in Canada, and I can get you behind stage to meet her. It was all arranged. I had the airline tickets. We were going.
In 4 days.
In
you
4
set
days.
that all up. And then
Now.
what?
The Canadian basketball team had a great run, and they were playing for the playoffs, and they needed the stadium, so everything was canceled.
She's bumped.
So all of a sudden, I'm telling my daughter-in-law, you don't get to meet Oprah. I sometimes wonder, did they even think I had it set up right? Well, I kept working on it, and a few years later, she was in Charlotte. So off we went, and I took my sister and my daughter-in-law at that time, and we had a great time. We got to meet her behind stage. Of course, the big hug that she gave me was worth everything. And to be able to speak with her about adding value to people, because she has added a lot of value.
Now, do you have a mentor or someone that has taught you some amazing lessons in business and life?
I've had many mentors. My dad and mom, obviously, taught me a lot, helped program this brain of mine in great ways, because my dad sold tickets for the Motivational Society, American Motivational Society, and we met Zig Ziglar. We had people like this at our home. Zig Ziglar, Cavett Roberts, Norman Vincent Peale, people that you're so young, you may not even know them.
I know who those people are. Earl
And
Nightingale.
They literally started formulating and being mentors of mine, and I would ask questions of them. And then, of course, John Maxwell's been a mentor of mine for 25, 26 years now in the leadership realm. There's so many people that have poured into me, as many of our listeners, and as you, as we think about all the people that we've learned
Have
from.
impacted, yes.
Yeah, they've
So
all
many.
been somewhat mentors to us in a way, right?
Right. Diana, you mentioned that, you know, one conversation can change a life. And I know that there's some people that you have found very interesting, informative to you. Tell us about those people.
Well, a couple of people, you know, Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very good franchise and sells a lot of chicken. And I heard Dan Cathy say, you know, anybody can sell chicken. So we're going to go after service. And I thought that was an interesting comment because he's right. Anybody can sell chicken. And yet Chick-fil-A is known for service. You don't get those little salt and pepper things in the white packages that you have to tear apart and sprinkle all over. No, someone comes to your table with ground pepper and salt. And you're going, it's just a step above. It's all different, and it's all about service. You know, and speaking about service, it's so interesting because Jim Rohn taught me, you've got to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Well, that's being of service to yourself, having a personal growth plan. Like in my book, I actually outline a personal growth plan that you can have to add value to your own life as well as service to other people.
And that's probably not where most people want to start, is by looking inward. But if you want to become more, you've got to look inward first. So you know what you can add value to in others' lives.
Right.
Well, Diana, we're going to take a quick little break and then we'll be right back.
Great.
And now I'm joined by Hand Pan Dan, Daniel Baird. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is an amazing instrument that you are holding on your lap, and tell us a little bit about this.
Yes, so the hand pan was invented just 24 years ago in Switzerland.
Okay.
It was inspired by the steel drums or the steel pan from the Caribbean. They basically just inverted the steel pan from being concave, made it convex, and then glued two of them together so it looks like a flying saucer.
It's so cool. It's beautiful. And from what I understand, this one was made by a gentleman in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Yes, that's correct.
Alrighty. And so you've been doing this for a few years now.
Yes, I've been playing this for about 6.5 years.
Okay. And you are very plugged into our Wichita community with your volunteering. So I know that you do some, you go to the VA hospital and you play for them. Who else are you tied into?
Yes, so I play at the VA. I play in hospice there, and then I do play for cancer treatment. And then I also play for some assisted living and memory care facilities around Wichita.
Oh, I bet they love that.
They do really enjoy it. I've been learning a lot of familiar songs for the memory care residents.
Okay. What are some of the favorites they like?
They enjoy singing along to You Are My Sunshine, Take Me Home Country Roads.
That's getting close to my age group with John Denver.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I've been learning some more recent songs, like some 90s pop songs, and then the staff really enjoys that.
So no Highway to Hell or...
Not yet. I'm still working on my classic
one. Okay. Okay. I understand you also help out at the Riverside tennis courts. There's a meal that goes on there.
Yes, there's a group that meets every Sunday, and they distribute food and clothes to the unhoused community.
Okay.
And I really enjoy playing hand pan for them because it kind of brings down the stress level and enhances their well-being.
Right. And then also there's a shower up group?
Yes, there's a mobile shower truck, and sometimes I play for them. I haven't been doing it as often as I would like, but that's another really wonderful organization that's helping out the unhoused community.
Well, I think it's just amazing that you offer this beautiful service to our community, because it not only helps the patient or the person that's in the community, in the senior community, but it's also probably wonderful for the caregivers.
Yes, I did not realize that when I got into this, how beneficial it would be for the family and caregivers, but it gives them a moment to relax and take a breath. They can maybe get some tasks done that they haven't been able to do because they've been busy taking care of the resident or their family member.
Now, you found a band that you liked that highlighted this instrument. And what was the name of that group?
Yes, so I first heard of the handpan through one of my favorite bands, Spangle. And that was in 2009. They released a song that had the handpan in it, and the sound just captivated me. And I was like, I need to figure out what this is. And I wanted to get into the harp, and this reminds me of the harp. And so that's kind of...
Oh, very melodious. So when you said Spangle, I think of Sprockets. Sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit. Anyway.
Like the Jetsons.
Yeah, something like that. Kind of goes with your shirt. I understand you are teaching lessons to kids too.
Yes, so I joined Arts Partners, which is a local organization here in Wichita. I joined them last year, and they have artists go out to schools and teach kids about art. I really appreciate that because I didn't know about world music until I got into my 20s. I played saxophone growing up, and I played guitar. And then I found out about the didgeridoo and handpan when I got into my 20s. So being able to go into schools and tell kids about these instruments and let them play them has been very fun.
So you don't have to really have a lot of musical fortitude or talent to play one of these, or does it take some skill?
That's the nice thing about the handpan is it's made for anybody. Each one is made in a different key. So this is the key of E major. All the notes go together. You can kind of tap around and it's always going to sound good because all the notes fit together. So kids can play them, older people can play them. And then the fact that you're just tapping and the notes are fairly large, you don't have to be very precise, and it's pretty easy to make a sound.
So once you learn the location of the notes, you're off and running.
That's right.
It's not like you have to read music.
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Well, that makes it a really universal instrument for anybody to pick up.
Yes. In fact, my first 5 years of playing, I did not read any music. I was just coming up with my own songs, and then over the past year, I've been looking at piano music.
Where do you see this taking you in the future, Dan? What do you want to do with this?
So I am focused on serving the healthcare community and education because I think this instrument is very therapeutic and it belongs in healthcare and education.
Well, I'd love to hear you play a little bit. Can you do that for us?
Absolutely.
Okay. Dan, you've shared how much joy the music brings to other people. What does it do for you?
For me, the handpan is very therapeutic because it's a very relaxing sound. It helped me a lot when my father passed away. It helped me with the grieving process. And then I got into this with my best friend, Greg. We were best friends for 20 years and we got to the handpan together. And so when I play handpan, I feel like he's with me playing. And so that's very therapeutic. But just this instrument itself, I feel like it lowers your blood pressure. It's just so relaxing.
Is Greg in Wichita as well?
Greg passed away about
sorry.
5 years ago.
So for you, it is really a memory. It's reliving memories for you.
Absolutely.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and music is so powerful, and it allows us to express emotions that we're unable to express with our words, and we can go back to memories and relive those.
And the thing about music, it's so important in our schools because long after the chemistry formulas and the mathematical equations have been forgotten, we'll remember songs and lyrics and words. To
Absolutely.
music. Very important. Well, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
And now we're back with Diana. Diana, what are some things that hold people back from becoming more?
Well, one thing is social comparison. It's this envy from where we currently are to where we believe we should be. According to Dr. Daniel Amen, he says that people are social comparing themselves all the time.
Oh, and all the time.
Yeah, and well, it causes anxiety within us because we're not who we desire to be. And instead of working on ourselves, we just keep comparing ourselves. Yet the interesting part is we're comparing our insides to their outsides. We don't know what's happening inside of them. We don't know what they're going through personally. We don't know if they just lost a job or got a promotion, for heaven's sakes. Yet, based upon the way they look, we compare how we feel with how they look.
Good point. And I think we also compare our worst to someone else's best. So we have a distorted view. And envy, what is it about envy? Once you never get over envy, right?
No, yet once you have envy, you can never feed it enough. You'll always find something else to be envious about. It's kind of like when you give gratitude, well, you can't be grateful and negative at the same time.
Right.
So when you learn to give gratitude for the little things, you get more to be grateful for.
I love that because the universe will bring to you what you want to attract. So whether it's envy or gratitude, either way, it's showing up in a big time.
Yeah, life is a mirror and gives us back our own reflection.
It is. And I think also karma comes back with interest.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, good or bad, right?
Well, you know, there's a restaurant named Karma. I don't know if you've heard about it.
No.
You don't get what you order, you get what you deserve.
I knew that was coming. That's cute. So Diana, how can we control our emotions
It's a great question.
to work for us and not against us?
It's a great question. And the interesting part, it's kind of like a thermostat or a thermometer. A thermometer takes a temperature and gives it back, just that fast, right? That's kind of like our emotion. If we allow our emotions to run wild, it's a reaction to everything. Yet if we choose to live our life like a thermostat, we read the environment, we read what's going on, and we adjust our emotions, much like a thermostat adjusts the heat or the cold air. We adjust the emotion to meet the set of circumstances that we're in or the set of circumstances that we desire to have.
So it's choosing logic over emotion.
Yeah, and the interesting part is, see, there's a part of the brain called the thalamus. I won't get real technical here. Yet the amygdala is over our emotions and our actions. The cortex is over the logic. Logic makes us think, emotion makes us act. So let's say like our two chairs, and there's a point right here. Well, your chair is closer to that point. That's the amygdala. Thalamus sends out something, hits the amygdala. The emotion shows up before the logic does. And so we have to breathe for a second, like the thermostat, look at the environment, and then allow our emotion to come forward.
And then make sure it's working for you and not against
Exactly.
Well, this is wonderful advice for anyone who's wanting to start over, change direction, pivot. And I just appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for joining us on this episode of Ageless Enthusiasm.